All right, so we're taking a deep dive today, looking into the world of investment managers. And wow, you weren't kidding with this stack of info from RoleCatcher. Someone serious about this career path.
Definitely piques someone's interest. And for good reason, it's a field with, well, a lot of responsibility riding on it.
Yeah, no kidding. We're talking about people's livelihoods, right?
Yeah,
Retirement funds, college savings, that kind of thing.
exactly. An investment manager is entrusted with growing wealth, whether it's a company's assets or an individual's portfolio. And that means navigating well, it's fair to say, the complexities of the financial markets. Not a job for the faint of heart.
Definitely not. And speaking of complexities, RoleCatcher seems to really hit on this idea of analyzing market trends. What does that actually look like day to day? I'm picturing someone glued to a screen with stock tickers flying by.
It's a bit more dynamic than that, thankfully. We're talking in-depth research, understanding economic indicators like, inflation rates, GDP growth, that kind of thing. And then there's evaluating the financial health of companies, which is a whole other beast.
So it's not just understanding what the market's doing right now,
Yeah,
but trying to anticipate where it's going. No pressure, right?
exactly. It's about staying ahead of the curve, which I think is why RoleCatcher emphasizes continuous learning so much. This isn't a field where you just learn the ropes and coast.
Makes sense. To be honest, even just thinking about all that information makes my head spin a little. How does someone even begin to, organize all of that and make sense of it?
You've got to have a knack for it, definitely. Strong analytical skills are, well, they're non-negotiable in this field. RoleCatcher actually puts some numbers to it, saying those skills show up in something like 70% of investment manager job postings.
Wow, 70%.
Okay.
So analytical mind is key.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Because I imagine it's not just you and a calculator anymore, right?
Yeah.
Technology's got to play a role.
Oh, absolutely. We're seeing the rise of really sophisticated portfolio management software. RoleCatcher talks about this too.
Right. They do mention that. What exactly is that, though? What does it actually do?
Think of it kind of like, a superpowered GPS, but for your investments. It can analyze tons of data, way more than a person can handle, to identify potential risks and opportunities.
And probably helps with making those tough decisions, right?
Exactly. Some of these programs can even automate certain trading decisions based on preset parameters. It's really quite something. And it's definitely becoming essential, not just a nice to have. In fact, RoleCatcher specifically lists proficiency in this type of software as, a must-have skill for anyone serious about this career path.
So we've talked about the day-to-day, analyzing markets, making those investment moves. But what about the bigger picture? Career-wise, I mean. RoleCatcher lays out this pretty clear path, right? You start as a junior analyst, work your way up, and eventually, boom, you're the portfolio manager calling the shots. Is it really that linear, though, in the real world?
It's a good framework, definitely. Gives you a sense of the potential trajectory. But yeah, like any career path, the actual journey, it's usually a bit more, shall we say, organic, not always a straight line to the top.
Right, right. And it's interesting because even RoleCatcher brings up the importance of, transferable skills, which kind of hints that maybe you don't always have to climb that one ladder. Experience in other fields, it could be valuable too, it sounds like.
Absolutely. Sometimes even more valuable, that broader perspective, it can make a real difference.
So transferable skills,
Hmm.
buzzword, I know. We hear it everywhere these days. But in the world of investment management specifically, what are we talking about? What are those key skills that travel well no matter your job title?
Well, we've already touched on analytical thinking. That's like your bread and butter in this field, no question. But here's something that might surprise you. Communication skills. Huge. RoleCatcher actually found that, get this, strong verbal communication. It's a requirement in almost 60% of investment manager positions. 60%.
Wow. Okay, I'll admit that's not what I was expecting. I mean, I get the whole people skills thing, being able to, talk to clients and all that. But 60%, it's way more than just schmoozing then.
Exactly. It's about way more than cocktail parties and golf outings. You're explaining complex stuff, financial concepts, to people who, let's be honest, might not be experts in this world. Building that trust, making sure they understand what's happening with their money. That's all communication.
It strikes me that we've talked a lot about the human side of things, that analytical brain, the communication skills. But what about the role of technology in all of this? Because RoleCatcher mentions this whole thing about beating the automated recruiter, which I got to say sounds a little ominous.
It's definitely a sign of the times, no doubt.
So is technology more friend or foe, you think, for someone trying to break into this field?
It's a great question, and I think it speaks to how technology is really transforming things from both sides. You're right, beating the automated recruiter, it does sound like we're in some like sci-fi thriller, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But the reality is AI. It's increasingly being used to screen resumes, even conduct those initial interviews.
So it's not just a human gatekeeper anymore. You've got to get past the algorithm first.
Exactly. And this is where, even something like RoleCatcher, it's a response to that very trend. They've got those AI-powered resume builders, those tools that let you practice interview scenarios. It's like they're giving you, well, the weapons you need to, succeed in this new landscape.
So six, they're saying, look, the game has changed, so here's how you play it.
Precisely. And remember that portfolio management software we were talking about earlier? That's another prime example. It's not just for job seekers, right? Technology's changing the game for those already in the field, too.
So it's not just about being a numbers whiz anymore. It's about understanding how to use these sophisticated tools to your advantage, whether it's building a resume that stands out to an algorithm or managing a complex portfolio.
Absolutely. The financial world, it's changing rapidly, and those who can adapt, embrace the tech, they're the ones who are going to thrive.
This has been incredibly eye-opening, really. You've given us, and I'm sure everyone listening, a lot to consider. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of investment management, I want to leave you with this. What would you prioritize beyond just financial knowledge in someone entering this field today? What would make them truly stand out in this rapidly evolving world? Something to ponder as you chart your own course in the exciting and, let's be honest, ever-changing world of finance.